Thank you so much for everyone coming out. This is truly an honor to speak in front of you today, but also you are all here to help represent the students. Yeah. So good evening and thank you for being here. I've been incredibly fortunate in my life to have peers, mentors, and local leaders who believed in me before I fully believed in myself. They gave me guidance, pushed me, and reminded me that young people are capable of more than we are often given credit for. The support helped lead me to one of the greatest opportunities of my life, serving as a delegate to the United States Senate Youth Program. But what made that experience so meaningful was not just the title or the recognition, but rather the reminder that none of us get anywhere alone. Behind every student who succeeds, there are teachers, mentors, parents, and communities who chose to invest in them. That is why conversations about education matter so much. School board meetings should not be places where political agendas take priority over students. They should be places where adults come together to ask a much more important question. Are we giving young people the tools, support, and opportunities that they need to succeed? Because at the heart of every strong community is a willingness to uplift others. Through my work as a member for Holly's Hope Foundation, I've had the chance to get to know the drug-free youth program closely. What stood out to me was how much of a difference early support can make in a young person's life, and the impact that they're making in our community. When students are surrounded by positive role models, healthy environments, and people who genuinely care, they are more likely to make good choices, believe in their own potential, and envision a future for themselves. That matters because education is not just about academics. It's about whether a child feels seen, whether they feel supported, whether they have the resources to thrive no matter their background. People often talk about the American dream as financial stability or success, but I think it starts even earlier than that. It starts when a child is given a fair shot. It starts when a community decides that every student, regardless of where they come from, deserves the chance to grow, lead, and build a better life for the future generations of America to come. That is what our schools stand for, that is what our republic stands for, and that is why we are here today. I am here today because people invested in me. The question before all of us is whether we are willing to do the same for the next generation. Thank you.
And speaking of the next generation, Holly's Hope is proud to announce that we are launching our first ever scholarships for people that are interested in careers in police or fire. It's being done in memory of Mitch Messenberg. He was one of our members. He's an amazing human being, and we're going to honor him by giving some scholarships to deserving students. All right, now we would like to introduce the DeFi students and give the ground rules. Simultaneous.
Hello again, my name is Dominic DiBenedetto. I'm a junior at Northport High School. I serve as the president for our DeFi club, the Drug Free Youth Club, and I also serve as the chairperson for the Sarasota County Schools Anti-Vaping Task Force.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Pete, and I'm the head of drug education and school outreach for DeFi. We mainly focus on taking the message from DeFi, not just to the high schools, but also to the younger kids in the middle school. I'd like to personally shout out the attendance of all the middle school kids in the back.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Liu. I'm an 11th grader at Northport High School. I serve as the secretary of DeFi at Northport. I help take down notes and basically the meeting minutes of the general points of our meetings, so we can basically like help relay those messages of what we're doing across the community.
Good evening, my name is Gavin Zoll. I'm a junior at Northport High School. I'm just a member of DeFi. I love it, it's amazing, and yeah. Hello, my name is Alexander Galloway. I am the Sergeant at Arms within Northport High School DeFi. I take attendance at the beginning of the meetings, and I mostly just serve an active role within the community events we do, and just participate. I help, as you just saw earlier, both Jonathan's, Dominic, and yeah, thank you all for coming here.
Hi, my name is Elijah Kuhn. I am the Vice President of the Executive Outreach Program at Northport DeFi. I am also doing what Jonathan does. I get out to the middle school, I build personal connections with those people, and I make sure that they're having a good time. I also manage a lot of the, the petitions that Northport has with the bathroom situations and that what DeFi has to offer in the high school. And I thank you all for your time that you have today. Let's go, Mary.
Hello, I am Mary Youssef. I'm a 10th grader, and I am the Vice President of Northport DeFi. Today I will be laying down the ground rules and also reading off the questions. So moving into the ground rules, there are only 5, and the first one is each candidate will have an equal time to respond, but it is not required. The second one is we will be asking a mix of pre-submitted student and audience questions. We ask the audience to please hold the applause till the end so we can stay on time, and that there is no interruptions from the audience or candidate members. And finally, no questions and answers questions and answers will remain respectful and focused on topics. Thank you.
With introductions.
Yes.
So we'll start with our introductions with District 1. You have 2 minutes to introduce yourself, and the timers are over here and in the back, okay?
Perfect. I want to just thank everyone for coming out this evening here in Northport. It's really appreciated. My name is Jimmy Glover. I'm running for Sarasota School Board District 1. I've been in Sarasota for 10 years. I used to live here in Punta Gorda, a little further south. Moved up to Sarasota. My kids were going to Booker High School. 3 of my kids graduated Booker High School. I have a senior this year at Booker High School, so between campaigning and having a senior, it's been quite a busy experience for me, but I'm really happy. I'm really proud to say that when my wife and I, originally we lived in Fort Lauderdale, when we moved up here, we moved here for the school system. When we were looking, as most parents do, we looked and saw that Sarasota County was an A-rated school district. So I'm proud to say that 3 of my kids have graduated Sarasota schools, and my 4th will be graduating Sarasota County schools, and they all are going to college. Now I realize that college isn't an option for everybody, and that's why I'm promoting that all our high school kids be college or career ready when they graduate high school. I feel that's very important. I also believe that we need to make sure that all our younger kids are on 3rd grade literacy reading levels. Where I live up in the Title I district up in Newtown, that is an issue. We need to close that gap as far as literacy. I also want to make sure that you all know that I fully support our teachers and our staff. We're going through something right now that's terrible, and I'm looking to make a difference in that. As I've been campaigning, there have been 2 words that I've found out as we go through this process. Listening and trust. What I found is that the parents, the teachers, and the students feel like the current school board is not listening to them. As a result, they've lost trust. And when I'm on that school board, the first thing I want to do is rebuild the trust in the school board so we can move forward and do some great things.
Hi
everyone. I'm Teresa DeWitt, and I am also running for District 1. And I just wanted to give you a brief history. I'm from Arkansas, and I moved here about 9 years ago with my 6-month-old twins. And we have just enjoyed Sarasota. We vacationed here for about 20 years and finally was able to, well, I thought, retire. And so, you know, a little bit about me. I joined the military. For all the young people out here, I joined the military based on my math scores at 17 and a half. And so I was an air traffic controller for Air Force One during Desert Storm. And so then I went on to obtain my business management degree at the University of Maryland in business law. And so then I was in sales for about 15 years and worked with, you know, large companies like Walmart, things like that in Arkansas, because we moved back after the military. After I started there, we moved back to Arkansas. So then I went back to school and I obtained my master's in community counseling and family counseling. And one thing that I realized is that through my mental health background is that our families are struggling. When I moved here and I worked with I have been going to board meetings for about 6 years, and I realized that even though we have an A-rated school, we are not exempt from our normal issues with families and children. And one of the things that concerns me is that we have dropped from 5th to 10th in 3rd grade reading proficiency. And we also just had to lay off some more teachers. And, you know, 3 of my priorities is teacher pay, auditing the district and providing a line item audit for all of you, the taxpayers, and then also making sure that our academic excellence stays where we know that it can be. So anyway, I'm so excited to be here with the students tonight, and I'm so excited to be with everyone tonight. We all have great things to offer this district, and I'm just really proud to be able to have the opportunity to serve Sarasota. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Heidi Brandt, and I'm also running for District 1 School Board. I moved here from New York City with my husband. After I beat him in a game of basketball, he took me out to dinner, and the rest was history. So any basketball players out there, take note. We have lived here for about 13 years now with our daughter, Mia, who is in 3rd grade at Southside Elementary School. She's been there since kindergarten, and we couldn't be happier or prouder to be a part of this community and a part of the public schools. My parents were both teachers. My dad was a science teacher and my mom was a math teacher. So coming from a humble upbringing of 2 teachers, I value education, I value teachers, and I want to make a difference in this community that I love so much, where my daughter is in public school. I am currently the PTO president of Southside Elementary School. I am also on the board of SSFA. I don't know if anyone knows what that is, but there are 2 foundations for the arts in Sarasota County, and Southside is one of them. Next year I will be the incoming president of SSFA. Why am I president? Because my parents at school, my teachers, my families, they trust me. Jimmy touched a little bit on trust, and trust is something we need to rebuild. I have the trust of the families there, I have the trust of the teachers there. I want to build on that as a community, as a county as a whole. And not just at Southside. I advocate for teen court. I volunteer for Holiday House. Holiday House is an awesome public-private partnership program that goes out to the Title I schools. I'm here for all schools, for elementary school all the way to high school, from Title I schools to schools like Southside that we have a lot to offer our children. We're very lucky. Also, literacy, I'm going to touch really quickly on that, and public-private partnership really quick. We have something at Southside called Reading Partners. We help our children read by 3rd grade, and it's a program that I would love to see district-wide.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Frank DeChico. I'm running for Sarasota County School Board District 4. I want to thank you all for having me here tonight. And a lot of people ask me, why am I running for school board? What makes me qualified? I think some of my past can really help out. I was actually born in Anchorage, Alaska, and I moved to New Jersey when I was a little kid, and that's where I spent most of my life until I moved to Sarasota, actually 30 years ago. So it'll be in June, 30 years. And I love this county. I love this county. I've seen it grow. And one of the things that I think that I bring to the table is that in my years in New Jersey, I actually owned a nightclub. And I learned very quickly how to deal with some very, very tense situations and how to deal with bullies. And that's been a big problem in schools. So I feel I'm very, very well versed in that. Here in Sarasota, I own my own business, but I'm very proud of I volunteered as a court order mediator for Sarasota County and Manatee County. And I learned a lot about conflict resolution, a lot that will help me work with the board to bring them together. And then also, I did not go to college when I was young, so I went back to school as an adult. And I graduated Eckerd College in St. Petersburg with high honors in 2014. So I've been in school in this century, and I've seen a lot that was going on. Yes, for a boomer like me, that's a big thing. So my biggest thing for you guys is this. The school board meetings need to move back to 6 o'clock at night so you can go, because you know why? It's your school board, you are the students, you are the teachers, you are the parents, you have every right to be at those meetings without any worry about being there to make sure you can hear what's going on and understand how to respond. Because in the end, it is our job to prepare you for the workforce. Whether you're going to higher education, whether you're going to the trades, whether you're going to the military, or straight into the workforce. Our job to do that. Take the politics out of the school board. Thank you.
Hello, Northport. My name is Megan Tinneman. I am a native Sarasotan. There are not too many of us around here. In fact, next year, my daughter will be a third-generation Sarasota High graduate. So our roots are very deep. I am a former second grade teacher. I taught at a Title I elementary school in Sarasota called Goscio Elementary. I'm the mom of 3 students who are in our county schools. And I have probably done every single job on a PTO that you could imagine. So I have excellent communication skills, great with conflict resolutions. Anybody seen Bad Moms? Yeah, that's all, it happens. And also with a budget, because if you've ever seen a PTO budget, it is squirrely. We have to stretch a dollar. We have to get creative and think outside of the box. And those are the things that I will bring to you as a school board member, the ability to think outside of the box, the ability to create unity in our community foundations, bringing back our voices to the school board. And I agree with Frank, those meetings need to be moved back to 6 p.m. I'm a mom. You have a voice as a student. You belong at that school board meeting. These policies and procedures that are being voted on affect you. So students are a #1 priority, as well as our teachers. Our teachers it is appalling what is happening to our teachers right now, that they are being told via emails they may not have positions next year. They are showing up, they are serving you every single day, knowing they don't have a job next year. My position on the school board would be to protect our teachers' voices, our salaries, serve our students from early childhood all the way to your graduation, and also reunite our community. Thank you.
Real quick, I need to say that both Beth and Michelle are Northport residents. Northport has not had a resident representative on the school board since Gene Matthews, who is the one who helped secure the land that Northport High in Heron Creek is built on. So I'm sorry if I'm stealing your thunders, but this is important, and thank you both very much for that.
I just think it's great we're going to get somebody on the school board here. So my name's Beth Mayberry. I've actually lived here since before there was a stoplight at Price and Sumter Boulevard. And I've actually lived in Sarasota County for over 50 years. First, I want to thank Holly Sove and all of the parents and DeFi who organized the event. We really need more opportunities to share our ideas and our concerns. Also want to thank my fellow candidates for their dedication and commitment to running for the school board. You know, I've seen a lot of changes in our community, but one of the things I haven't seen change is our small town values. We want to help our neighbors. We want to make sure everybody is excelling. We want to make sure that people are safe. And the other thing that hasn't really changed is that we have had big city dreams for a long time, as long as I can remember. So those are dreams of, back then, dreams of a hospital, good schools, swimming pools, career education. for our working folks. And a lot of those dreams have already come true, so I'm happy about that. But it has been over 35 years since we've had somebody on our Sarasota County School Board. A little bit about my background. I've been retired for a year from teaching here in Sarasota County. I was a Venice middle school teacher, taught in Woodland for 5 years. Before that, while I was raising my family, I was a certified financial planning professional, which means that I help people make budgets, plan for big purchases, figure out how to cut expenses, and that's what we're going to need on our school board. We're going to need responsible people who have the experience to do some of those things. School board budgets are not exciting, they're boring. If you get really tired at night, you can't get to sleep, they're a great way to try to fall asleep. But we do have some amazing teachers. The work that DeFi has done has been amazing, and I want to commend the students. We need our schools to be safe. We need to be able to make sure that our kids are getting what they need every day.
Thank you. My name is Michelle Posey. I'm your candidate for school board here in District 5, and as you were told, I am a resident here in Northport, so blessed to be in this growing city. I'll tell you a little bit about me. First of all, I'm no stranger to the school board room. Love me, hate me, or indifferent, you'll always know where I stand, and I think that's important because I don't stand before you here today as somebody who's asking for your blind trust. You can play back anytime I've spoken at a school board meeting and you'll know exactly where I stand. I've heard some people here say, we don't want politics in the school board room, but I have to tell you, of all the candidates up here, there are some that will be endorsed by the Republican Party and there are some that are already endorsed by the Democrat Party. It's an elected position, so it's our job as adults to have the good, honest debate, the really, really good, juicy debate, so that in your classrooms, it doesn't trickle into there. Again, my job as a school board member is going to be to make sure we stay on budget. It's going to be to make sure we take a look at the legislation passed at the state level and implement policy in the sunshine, in your vested interest as with your tax dollars. And what makes me so qualified? I'm going to tell you, I've spent 25 years teaching students in the performing arts. And if there's anybody that knows that education is not one size fits all, it's me. I've been dealing with parents and families, from Manatee County players to Sarasota County players to Charlotte players to building my own small business and yes, getting a BA in business and media. It's my job to make sure that your voices are the loudest. And we only do that by, yes, bringing a meeting back to 6 p.m., but I'll do you one better. I think we keep one at 10 a.m. as well. Because why in the world did we pivot from doing 2 meetings a month when it's your hard-earned dollars that pay our salary? Michelle Posey, Sarasota County School Board, District 5.
All right, the candidates get 1 minute to answer the question.
Lightning round.
Alright, I will now begin reading the pre-submitted questions by students and audio members. Okay, number 1. According to a student survey, some at Northport High School rated the school security officers and school resource officers a 7 out of 10 when it comes to securing the campus. They say the guards don't get off the golf carts enough and therefore allows opportunities for unsupervised vaping and other incidents. If elected, will you check into this complaint and have the school offer more training and safety measures for school security and SROs?
Ta-da! And you got 1 minute.
Are we standing or you can stand, I didn't stand last time, but I'm all for school safety as far as the children. I would definitely want to make sure that if that issue is going on, that our school safety officers and our security officers are well trained and they know what to do as far as the vaping in the bathrooms and any issues that you all have. Our number 1 priority is your school safety. So we have to make sure that we're doing everything possible, and if there is a complaint, we got to make sure that we are attending to that complaint. We don't want to have a situation where you all are continuing to talk about the same issue and we're not solving the problem. We're here to solve problems, big or small.
First I wanted to start with, there was a post a few weeks ago about how some of our security were being let go in different schools. And so I got on the phone with Tim Enos, who's our school police chief, and what he said to me was that we have 3 shifts that the police officers coordinate on in school settings. And what they meant by security is they are civilian security that only monitored open gates. And what happens is that when those gates, if that security person was let go, that open gate is closed and everyone is funneled through one particular gate. So he assured me that not one gate would be open without security. And so our children cannot learn without a safe environment. So I will always make sure I go directly to the source and get the answer for you, the taxpayers. Thank you.
The answer is yes. If you came to me or anyone with an issue of safety and security, I would address it immediately with the admin of that school and also with the resource officers themselves. Making sure we have highly trained resource officers will be a top priority. Also, this is kind of a budget issue. I know at our school, we have specials teachers running to this gate and then running to pick up kids here and running to theirs. They're doing like 5 jobs. And so it's hard to have a safety and security at every single open gate. So this is definitely a budget issue that we'll have to look at and make sure that we are staffing enough people to make sure our schools are safe, because it's not just walking through that front door. It's every minute your children are sitting in their desks, they feel safe. So I will address that and make sure we have highly qualified and safe SROs.
School safety is paramount. You guys are going through a time frame where school safety is just not what it was when we were young. We didn't have to worry about these things. So yes, there is no excuse for any officer to not be trained to do exactly what they're supposed to do. I actually have a meeting scheduled with Tim Enos in order to talk to him about different things going on with the school security. You guys should be safe on the campus, you should be safe in the bathrooms, and you should be safe on the school buses. I've heard that can be a nightmare as well. This has got to be across the board. There's zero tolerance for it, and I will tell you, you guys can contact me anytime at all about security. So that's something that is definitely near and dear to my heart. Thank you.
All students have the right to feel safe on their campus, regardless of their background, beliefs, or gender, or anything. So what I have done is reached out to our community organizations. There's one called Bridge of Life. They are actually meeting with school resource officers to train them on how to effectively de-escalate situations. Also, reaching out to our community and training, we have retirees, we have parents, we have grandparents. We have a whole avenue that we can pursue. Train them to be hall monitors, train them to do a bathroom system, check in and check out. These are things that don't cost anything but time, energy, and a little bit of commitment. And the outcome is student safety plus community.
I'm not sure I understood the question correctly. Could you? Thank you.
According to a student survey, Summit Northport High School rated school security officers and school resource officers a 7 out of 10 when it comes to securing the campus. They say the guards don't get off the golf carts enough, and therefore it allows opportunities for unsupervised vaping and other incidents. If elected, will you check into this complaint and have schools offer more training and safety measures for school security and SROs?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you repeating it. You know, kids get graded on their work. Teachers are observed and they're graded on their work. Our SROs and our security people should expect to be graded on their work. If they're not doing the job that we expect them to do, we need to be taking action on that. And we all should have that expectation of safety. Any of our safety procedures should always be reviewed. They should be clear. The expectations should be shared. And if those expectations are not being met, there need to be consequences to keep those kids doing what they need to do, but also our security people doing what they need to do. So if they're not getting off that golf cart and they're not walking upstairs and checking that bathroom, that's what they need to be doing, and we need to be doing something about that. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, protection is something, it's one of my 3 issues that I'm running on. For those of you that might have tuned into the Sarasota County workshop, school board workshop today, they talked about right here in Northport how you guys are rolling out that Smart Pass technology. So I feel like we're holding you accountable. Why does it take a student survey for us to just now hear about this incident? That's what we need at a district level with leadership from a school board person that can say, listen, are we uniformly applying this across the district? In other words, how does a student get to administrators who feel like they can then get to the superintendent who can get his ear and be able to do something? Yes, protection and security is the utmost importance because you can't learn if you don't feel safe. I'll tell you, there's a couple of things that the state legislature's done here in the state of Florida that I want to make sure we're maximizing. One is a Guardian program that gives us more dollars to put veterans and others armed in our schools. I want to make sure we're using that. And I also have already talked to our state legislature about a safe evac program so that on day 1 we can make you safer.
Thank you. Question 2. Charlotte County spends little time and money to train retired law enforcement officers and veterans to be unpaid security guards at all of their schools. This reduced costs to the district and ensures additional campus safety. If elected, would you consider creating a volunteer security force to assist school board police?
All right, we're gonna put 30 seconds on the clock. You just talked about it. Can you guys reset for 30 seconds? And now they got 10 minutes. All right, ready?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. This is why you go to school board meetings and county commission meetings, because you have to speak on the clock. It's good practice. Yes, I will definitely make sure that we're doing everything we can. And Chief Enos is another big fan of this guardianship program, which is exactly what you're talking about. But we should also look further into possibly providing volunteer opportunities. We've got a lot of wonderful veterans in this community. We need to amp up our volunteerism, especially when it comes to those that wouldn't mind helping to keep us safe.
I'm going to second that, just in terms of there are so many people that we have, so many resources. I've spoken with so many people who were teachers, they were principals, they were superintendents, even people who were on the school board. And by limiting who can talk at our school board meetings, by the time, setting the time so crazy in the day, we are limiting some of those opportunities for those people to help us. We need the volunteers, and we need to let people know we need them and we want them and we care about them.
I think I touched on this with my last comment, but what a better way for a parent to engage in their school that doesn't require a long-term 3-hour commitment. Show up, drop your kid off, you're trained to help facilitate, get everyone through that open gate in a timely and safe fashion. And again, you are now being a part of your child's education and involved in their school.
I absolutely agree with that. I think we should take advantage of all volunteers that would like to help out, especially those that have experience in the military or law enforcement. What a great addition that would be. But again, we have to do that within reason. So again, when I speak to Chief Enos, I'm going to ask him about that again and see what his thoughts are. But again, we should always examine all these as opportunities, not as a given. It should be discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. 100% agree with volunteers as long as they are vetted and have their level 2 clearance and we know a little bit more about them, watching over the safety and security of our students. I asked my dad this question once before about arming teachers and this and that, and as a teacher, he was not a fan of it. So if we're going as far as to arming people who are not actual SROs or police officers, I'm not sure about that, but I'm 1,000% in favor of having volunteers there to help us with our security in our schools.
Okay, so one of the things that I wanted to pull into this discussion is the budget. Right now, our district decided that anyone who volunteers in that capacity would have to have a level 2 clearance. Right now, our district is $180,000 in the negative on background checks. And so the budget is definitely an issue with that. Previously, I would say about 4 or 5 years ago, the volunteers paid for that, but that has changed.
And I also agree with having volunteers, trained volunteers, vetted volunteers to help us out. Right now, we are in a budget crisis. So now we have to have out-of-the-box thinking and utilizing our volunteers to step into the gap while we get through this budget situation. So I am definitely in favor of having our volunteers trained, vetted, and making sure that they're there for the protection of our students and our teachers and our staff.
All right, question 3. Students complain that the morning news broadcasts aren't meaningful. They don't learn about upcoming events outside the school, volunteer internship opportunities, job fairs, or anything they care about. Some teachers don't ask classrooms to be quiet enough to hear the news either. What can be done to make this valuable time more impactful for students?
Can you elaborate on the newscast?
How so?
Is that in the high schools?
All schools.
Repeat the question, please. I'm sorry.
Students complain that the morning news broadcasts aren't meaningful. They don't learn about upcoming events outside the school, volunteer internship opportunities, job fairs, or anything they care about. Some teachers don't ask classrooms to be quiet enough to hear the news either. What can be done to make this valuable time more impactful for students?
That's a great question. Well, you could dress up like Dumbledore and Hagrid, like I did on my school news. To promote our jogathon, I dressed up and made it very exciting to tell our kids about all things happening on school. No, I think that would probably be an admin thing. Get together with whoever's leading your school news and maybe collaborate with other schools or other news leaders, students, what excites them, what interests them, what catches their eye. I think it's collaboration with people who are doing it great, maybe.
I guess my deeper question would be is why are they not aware of things that are going on within the community? And that would be a question for the principal. But every opportunity for the students to connect with the community, we need to make that happen as the adults in the room, and there are so many ways that we can do that. But at the end of the day, the teacher's in charge of the classroom, and they need to be quiet. It's that simple, be quiet. All right, so anyway, that's my answer.
Well, I believe you probably answered your own question in that it's a communication issue, because you're telling me that it's not being communicated what you all want to hear. So we need to find out, talk to admin, talk to the principal or whoever's in charge of the announcement and say, hey, these are the things we want to hear in the morning. And I feel like if you communicate that to them, then maybe that's where the change happens. It always starts with communication.
Right, well, this is my wheelhouse because communication is the key, and I think young people especially are very, very excited about how we deliver messages. So I would say get the students more involved in the production of what that looks like. What does that news program look like? And I think back to Teresa's point, this starts with respect and order in the classroom. If we're not having that when it comes to a news program, what is happening throughout the day when it comes to learning? And so I think that's something that we need to address, as Teresa said, and others, at the administrative level.
Okay, I'm putting my teacher hat on here. If you've ever been in a classroom at the beginning of the class, things are a little chaotic, and especially at the beginning of the day. Kids like to socialize, they like to tell each other what they've been doing, and they aren't as interested or as vested in what we're trying to tell them via the news. So I think there's got to be a little give and take there. We've always had the kids participating in the news, but making them listen is another thing. You do have to have your procedures in place when you're saying the pledge, etc.
I am the parent of two, almost 3 teenagers, and yeah, the school news is antiquated. What would work better? Let's have a conversation. Is it, okay, it's not Instagram, that's old people stuff. Is it TikTok? Is it Snap? What are we going to do to get the message across to our young people? What technology are they using to communicate and to stay informed with what's going on in their community?
I think the first thing that we do is to find out why students don't want to listen to the news. We have to involve them more and talk about topics that are of interest to them. Secondly, there is no excuse for basically an unruly class when something like that is going on. They should be able to listen to it, they should be able to absorb what's being said, and they should be able to question it. And I think that if we involve the kids into it more, that might actually change the way it is, because you should be able to listen to it and get a well-rounded report. Thank you.
Question 4. Some teachers only use AI-generated lessons. Students can tell that the teacher hasn't prepared anything more than this concept. What can be done to ensure teachers go back to teaching and not just relying on computer-generated lessons?
AI is definitely something that I don't think anybody saw coming as quickly as it is. I know that there's kids that use AI to do work and so on and so forth. A teacher, on the other hand, not okay. And just on a quick little side note, when I was a senior in high school a long time ago, we had a teacher that used the same exam, biology exam, every single year. So let me tell you something, that was ridiculous. We didn't have AI, but we had that. No excuse, we should tell them, you gotta do the lessons so everybody can learn correctly.
All right, you guys aren't allowed to use AI. Don't you have to submit all of your assignments through an AI checker? So lesson plans should not be from AI as well. That is going to come from the top. If we're going to expect our students not to use AI, to use their brains, to use their computers, their pens and pencils, then our teachers should be using the curriculum that is provided, as well as anything else supplemental, our textbooks, our reading assignments, that type of thing, but no AI.
Well, I will tell you that AI saves you a lot of hours, and teachers put in a lot of hours. So, I'm not against AI. I think if you're using it properly, that's great. But I didn't use AI when I was teaching. I just used it to prepare the lesson plans. I do think that teachers, I taught science, so we did a lot of labs and stuff. There's no such thing as an AI lab. So I think you have to prepare your lessons properly, but when you're teaching, you need to be in front and doing your thing teaching.
Sorry, thank you.
Great question, bless you. So we do have an AI policy here in our district. The first thing I would want to do is take a look at that and see how it addresses what's happening in the classroom from the teacher's perspective. We also have an upcoming AI Bill of Rights that's going to be passed here in the state of Florida, and it's also going to have some educational parameters in there. But one of the things that I've heard from students anonymously is potentially teachers using AI to grade. And you can imagine how when you used to argue your grade back in the day, how do I argue with a computer if I don't like my grade? So we need to address this in policy.
Agree with pretty much everything that's been said here. If the students are expected not to use AI, to use their beautiful brains and do their work, then teachers should not be using them also. However, there is a place in some ways, maybe, hey, ChatGPT, give me some creative ideas on how to excite this newscast, program. How can we make it more exciting? So, yes, not in a lesson plan. I'm pretty sure AI doesn't follow the curriculum that is set by the Sarasota County School Board. So teachers try to stay off it, students stay off it also.
I just happen to have some statistics on AI, and I think we need to be very careful what we model as teachers. We have great teachers who are very intelligent, and we need to limit the AI. One of the things that AI can be very addicting with our students. And so one of the things I wanted to let you know is that 57% of teens use AI for information searches. 72% of teens have used AI companions. They are going to use this more and more. We need to be careful, cautious.
I think the word here that we're talking about is accountability. The students feel like, hey, we're accountable. They're, targeting us when we use AI. We want the same thing that happens when a teacher uses AI. And I think that's really what the students want across the board. Hey, you use it, I use it. I get in trouble, you don't get in trouble. So we just want it to be fair all the way around.
All right, question 5. Since 1999 to the year 2000, the Florida Youth Substance Abuse Survey, FYSAS, has been a collaborative effort between the Florida Department of Health, Education, Children and Families, Juvenile Justice, and the Governor's Office of Drug Control. It is based on the Communities That Care survey, assessing the risk and protective factors of substance abuse, in addition to substance abuse prevalence. Sarasota County did not participate in 2024. If elected, will you bring back the FYSAS?
20 seconds.
And, I'm sorry, for clarity, this was a substance abuse program?
It was a statewide survey sent out.
The students, it's anonymous, and they use that information to work with kids because they understand what they're doing.
Yeah, I would bring that survey back because I believe, because it's anonymous, the kids they'll be more likely to answer the questions. And we need all the information and the data that we can get to help solve the problems.
I think one of my first questions as a potential board member would be, why did we not participate in something that's so important? We all know that our youth are really struggling with addiction, and we need all the information that we can get as a board, as a community, and we need to be able to write the policies that align with that. Thank you.
I don't know what more to say than yes, absolutely. An anonymous survey that will help our students, why would we not do it? So yes, absolutely bring it back.
I have to agree with everything that I've heard. We definitely need to bring that back. And I'd be very curious to find out why for 23 years we did something and then stopped in 2024. Thank you.
I agree as well, and I also think information is power. So the more information we have, and the best is anonymous, because then a student can speak his or her mind. That is how we're going to be able to develop the programs that we need, instead of just standing up here as an adult and throwing ideas at you, to actually get your feedback and realize what works and what doesn't work.
Depending on what it costs, yes.
Good. Typically, when it comes to surveys, I think my first instinct as an elected board member would be to make sure that our families are behind whatever surveys are going out. But this one is a little different because you really want to get anonymously what's going on in that child's mind and what they think. So yes, I would be in favor of bringing that particular survey back.
Okay. Question 6. Vaping is an issue. Charlotte County Schools combated it by doing a free 6-month pilot program with a vape sensor company. Then that school board funded it. Will you support a vape sensor pilot program at Northport High School, Woodland, and Heron Creek Middle School here in Northport? Will you fund vaping sensors and cameras in Sarasota County schools after the pilot program at an estimated cost of $50,000 for 10 years?
All right, we'll start right here.
This is definitely a budget issue, but it's definitely something that needs to be talked about when we're going back and going over the budget with a fine-tooth comb. And I do want to point out that that's $50,000 per school. So this is going to take a community effort to really get behind, and also reaching out to some of those community organizations. Maybe there's organizations out there that this is their pet project and they want to fund this. So let's keep the communication going.
I was at the school board workshop this morning and they were talking about this. Pretty amazing technology. So yes, I'm definitely behind it being in your school. In fact, all the schools throughout Sarasota County. I think that would be fantastic. And as for the money, you know, we have over $1 billion budget, guys, over $1 billion. And if you ever looked at that budget, hard pressed to figure out where the money comes from and where it goes. I'm sure we could find $50,000 per high school to do something like that. Thank you.
So I spoke on this matter a couple of months ago at the school board. It is very important to me that we are properly resourced to help our kids. Mental health and addiction is a growing problem in our country. I firmly believe that in Northport especially, we should be able to get some money from some of our foundations to do this, because they have not spent a lot of money here, and they should be.
Thank you. Yes, just like Frank said, they covered this at the school board workshop today. And so what they've done is they've gotten 5 companies to do the vape monitoring. We're awaiting what those resources are going to cost. So to stand here and be able to say yes, no, indifferent, I'm saying we need it. Let's take a look at what the cost is, because it's 2 steps. There's the part that monitors the smoke or the detection, and the other one that is a camera. But when it comes to resources, what's more expensive? Getting one of these pilot programs, or what it costs in resource officers to chase people down with vapes?
And I'm also in favor of having the vape detectors in the school, but once again, it is a budgeting issue. If we can find a community organization, a health organization that can help offset that cost, that'd be very beneficial for the county, considering our financial situation right now. I really believe that we can do that. We can find someone to get behind this effort. We live in a very, very rich county. I think we can do that. It's a very noble effort.
So as a licensed mental health therapist for the last 23 years, I've worked in 5 different school districts across the country. And one of my things I'm always concerned about is obviously the dollars, but at the same time the contracts. I would want us to make sure that we look at the contracts and the language on that. Also to the cameras, who's holding that data? We need to make sure if there's any recordings, where that data is going, who controls that, and we need to make sure that all the parents are aware we have informed consent.
Yes, as a school board member, looking at the budget, weighing everything out, I think this is a very important thing that we look into. Also, public-private partnership. I am a huge fan and supporter of it. We have so many great partners out there that do so many amazing things in our schools. Let's look for that support here. And also, D5. Before these kids even bring vapes to school, let's support kids like these. D5 and other organizations who are stopping children from even starting with vaping in the first place.
Question 7. If the district loses funding for guidance counselors, what is your proposal to help students with college and other resources?
So as school counselors, right now the CDC recommendation is 250 counselors, one counselor to 250 students. Right now we have some schools in Sarasota that are 700 students to one counselor. And so with some of the cuts that we had about 30 days ago, we had some counselors that were their contract's not going to be renewed. And so that's a big priority. We need to make sure that we get that ratio down quickly.
Yes, so I know at our school, we don't have elementary school, we don't have school counselors, but our mental health professionals are gone. Our school counselors the numbers are decreasing. Again, we keep talking about it's a budget thing. We need to get our budget under control. We need to get the teachers their pay. We need to get the schools their support. So not having mental health specialists, not having therapists, not having teachers and school counselors is really sad, and we need to do a better job at getting our budget under control for that.
And once again, it is a budget issue, but what we can do is, once again, look for different community organizations that we have who specialize in things as sort of mental health. We have Education Foundation, they have programs that can help the students with their college choices. So we just really have to start thinking outside the box and looking at all our resources here in Sarasota. We identify the problem, then we can figure out who can help us solve that problem while we get our budget in check.
As I said earlier, we have a huge budget. There's other areas we can cut except for those areas. And if I am elected, I am definitely going to look at prioritizing things that need to stay and cutting things that we don't necessarily need. They're more of wants. I think that's really important. And having people in those positions, it's ridiculous that we'd be losing them. And the fact that we have less than we need and losing them, that's even more egregious. So again, if I was elected, the first thing I would do is look for ways to not cut people like that. Thank you.
So this is a very real problem. In fact, my daughter's favorite teacher, who is a college and career readiness coach, lost her position this year. However, I am proud to announce that she is going to come back next year as part of funded of a nonprofit. There's also Take Stock in Children, a program that identifies youth and supports them with a mentor throughout high school, encourages them to keep their grades up, and then as a result, those students will graduate with a scholarship of 2 years to a state school. So there are programs out there. We just need to build that community.
Wow, I've already lost 3 seconds. We do have a lot of resources in our community, and I think it's really going to be important in the next few years. Until we can get Tallahassee to give us some more money, it's going to be important for us to utilize everybody that we have there. Lots of retired teachers would be very happy to sponsor some days or evenings where they would sit with the kids and try to help them understand what they need to do for college. But we need the mental health counselors.
Yeah, so I think there's two different things to talk about here. One is school guidance counselors, the other is mental health professionals. When it comes to mental health professionals, in our district in the past, we have brought in third-party contracts to do that. I think there was also a try to make that with in-house. I want to take a look at what's more effective and what's more cost-effective. I don't think we should be cutting that. When it comes to school counselors, one of the things I heard talked about at the workshop today is trying to utilize the people that potentially might be cut, they might be laid off, to see if they can double as some of these guidance school resource counselors. It would be nice if we could get teachers to try to pitch in on that.
Questioning. Some students aren't capable of getting a 2.0 GPA in order to get into technical college. However, they aren't college material either. Do you support lowering the GPA requirement to allow struggling students to get into hands-on vocational training courses outside the standard classroom?
Well, I have some experience with that because my son went through the SCTI and he loved it. It was great for him. I will say that the question is, why are they failing? Because if they have a 2.0 because they're doing nothing, sending them to technical school is not going to be productive. If they have a 2.0 because they have issues, they are working very hard and they are very much struggling, they're very good with their hands, etc., I think that we should be looking at whether that's the best place for those students.
Thank you. Yeah, I think the question is, again, why are they struggling? We not only need to expand our trades classes that we have in the district, we need to make sure that we're understanding why people seem to be dropping off when it comes after third grade reading. Third grade reading in our district, we say we're an A-rated district, but we're graduating in some colleges with only 37% reading proficiency. We have a bigger problem, guys, and I plan to tackle it. Thank you.
I think this definitely goes back to student support, and I speak to this a lot. There are many students in our district who are going to graduate with a 4.7 unweighted GPA, but what about the students who have a B average? The students who have a 2.0, that doesn't mean they're not trying. It means maybe that is the best that they can do, and they just need a separate path, and they need the support to find that.
We definitely should not lower the GPA. I have 2 sons that go to Suncoast Polytech and they're in a dual enrollment program. I know they work very, very hard for that. But as everybody has said so far, we need to find out why it is that they're struggling so much. If a student wants to go to technical school, when they graduate, they need that 2.0. Let's do everything we can to help them. Okay, not lower it and make it easier. That's not fair to the people who are working really, really hard. I stand by that. Thank you.
We actually talk about this a lot at Holly's Hope.
Well, I believe everyone deserves a chance at success. And just because you do have a 2.0, maybe that opportunity to go to that trade school is the thing that unlocks you and just makes you do what you need to do. We just can't dismiss kids just because of a grade point average, an arbitrary number that's put out there. They could put the effort. Maybe they just need something that interests them. I don't want to see any kid left behind just because of a 2.0 grade point average. They all deserve opportunity.
believe that the 2.0 is a completely separate conversation. And that 2.0 didn't get there at the last minute. And so we need to we need to find out what wraparound services that child had. We need to have a treatment team meeting on that child. But at the end of the day, every child needs to walk their path and their journey, and we need to support them, whether that is four-year college, whether that is becoming a doctor, whether that's a trade school. They need to walk their path, and we need to support them as a community and as a parent and as teachers.
Yes, agree with everyone that we should probably lower it. However, I believe that all of our students are more than just a number. They're more than just a grade. And some students at the 2.0 are probably struggling big time in certain areas, but they might be excelling in other areas. So I would like to have their teacher possibly be an advocate for them. Wow, this student has a 2.0, but you know, I really think, like maybe we can make an exception. They really would succeed in this school or in this role.
Question 9. Do you support any new partnerships with the City of Northport, Charlotte County, or other agencies to help provide more internship, on-job training, or other out-of-the-box opportunities for students in Northport?
100%. 100%. I love any kind of real training, real experience, getting out there, partnerships with the community, partnerships with nonprofits, Team Court, DeFi. I would love to see more of that with our schools. Hands-on work training, hands-on experience, shadowing someone. I think that's a fabulous idea, and I would love to see us do more of that in our schools. Great idea. Who had that question?
I did.
I agree. Now, one of the things that we need to make sure is, as a community, we have some bad news, from our school district. We have some serious budget cuts, and we have some different things that are going on. This is the key time for us to reach out to partnerships and to renew those relationships. The last 4 or 5 years, a lot of things have happened, and we've lost some of those relationships, and we've also had to say goodbye. And we need to get back, and we need to welcome everyone back and support all partnerships.
No, partnerships are definitely important. It gives the students a chance to figure out what they want to do and sometimes what they don't want to do. You want to have these opportunities. If you say, hey, you know what, I want to be an air conditioner repair person, and then all of a sudden you got an internship and you go, oh man, that's not something I want to do. At least that gives you the opportunity now to move on to something different. I encourage all opportunities for partnerships, internships, anything that's workforce related, because now we're bringing in our work community to help out students.
I 100% agree in that as well. My son is actually a senior at Polytech, I mentioned that before. He's in the internship program right now. He absolutely loves it. And he's learning in the particular field he went into what he likes about it, what he doesn't like about it, exactly what some of the other candidates have said. So I think it's something that we should be definitely looking into and trying to expand upon at all costs. Thank you.
I love when we can invite our community organizations to work with our youth, and what better way for you guys to find out what you do and what Jimmy said, or what you don't want to do. A lot of our classes in high school are very academic heavy, but none of them are really asking you, where do you see yourself? What's your passion? What do you enjoy doing? So getting out there in the community and working with these organizations, in my opinion, is the best way to figure out where your future goes.
Absolutely. I think this is very important for students to be able to get out in the real world and get an idea of what's really happening out there, because they have some idea about how decisions are made. When they actually get to see it, but that's a different story. They understand.
I would have to agree with everyone here. I think that these partnerships, especially with local businesses, we're going to have a big Sarasota Memorial Hospital campus here in Northport. So the thought that people can get real world experience there, you think about Moat Marine, the trades. I would even like to see them come through the school board room, through City Hall. Let's get these kids excited about holding an elected position. This is the future. We've got to get them involved.
Question 10. What solutions would you propose to quell the amount of vouchers being used for charter schools and homeschool participants to stay in the public school system?
Really good 35 on this.
I spoke about this at the last school board meeting. As a parent, I have received a text message, an email, a phone call on 3 separate occasions advertising this voucher program. What I have not received is an email, a text message, or a phone call highlighting the amazing programs we already have in our district. And when I spoke about this and researched it, as a parent of high schoolers and a middle schooler, I had no idea half of these programs existed. And I'm not talking just about very high academic programs. STEM, robotics, career advancement, all of those are available and we need to market it.
You know, it's definitely a talking point that we should all think about. The problem is, why are people leaving our schools to go to these private schools? Seriously. I actually had to go to private schools when I was young. I went to a Catholic all-boy high school. Let me tell you, I really wish I could have went to my town high school. I think a lot of kids are missing out on growing up in the public school system. We have to figure out why is it that so many parents are moving to Sarasota, an A-rated school system, but then putting their kids in a private school. It just doesn't make any sense, and we need to figure out why that's going on. Thank you.
One of the things that I've seen a number of different advertisements for what different private schools and charter schools are doing, having events at parks and things like that, and I'm not seeing that happening a lot at our public schools, and that's because it costs money to do that. And our public schools aren't for profit, they're for teaching our kids. So I agree that we need to figure that out. I think it's very easy for somebody to complain about a school and that complaint blows up because of social media, but we have to figure out how to fix that and market our schools better.
We started off this conversation talking about a big word, trust. And I'm going to tell you the uncomfortable truth. Over the last 8 years, this district has done some things to erode the trust with parents, even with teachers, and sometimes with family members. We've got to earn that trust back, because here's the thing, the voucher policy is a state legislature policy. Nobody on this dais up here, or this board, is going to do anything to get rid of vouchers, because that happens at the state level. My job as a school board member is going to be to make Sarasota County schools the most competitive schools. That's what we learn in a free market society. We will be so good they won't want anywhere else.
I think a lot of these parents felt like they left the school system because they weren't being listened to. So I think maybe it starts with listening to what these parents are saying, because some of the reasons why they left the school system are probably very simple reasons, but no one took the time to listen to them. So I'd say that we need to first start with listening. I think the public schools need to do a better job of marketing themselves, and we gotta compete. We're in a competitive environment right now. We have to tout what we do best. When we do that, we do everything better. We're an A-rated school. We have a lot of benefits.
So this conversation is multi-layered, definitely. One of the things that you've seen an explosion with homeschooling, one of the things that the state did is they separated homeschooling out, and what they're projecting is over 100,000 PEP scholarships. That's going to directly impact our district. As far as scholarship dollars for vouchers and charters, one of the things as board members, we get to look at the charter renewals, we get to look at the contracts, and we also get to ask them questions about, are they meeting the standards that the district cares about? And the trust has definitely been broken, and we need to rebuild that.
My campaign, I talk about STAY, S-T-A-Y, because we need to keep our families here staying in the public school. We need to keep safety a top priority, high quality teachers, and keep them paid what they deserve. And the A's, I say 3 A's, academics, athletics, and the arts are very important, but You all brought something to my attention. Another A, maybe acceptance, to be seen. We also need that. And then you, the community, the teachers and the families and the parents and the community all need to feel involved, and we need to let them know how great our schools are.
You guys did great, thank you.
These next 3 questions are for specific candidates. So for Ms. Pawsey and Ms. DeWitt, we have found that board members who do not put their own children into public schools are not fully invested in the success of our public schools. Do your children attend, or did they graduate from public schools?
Thank you. My children actually went to public school, then charter school, and then were homeschooled, and then graduated from state colleges. So state colleges within the state. So here's the reason why you need that as a board member. What did we just talk about? The voucher program. I understand the needs of families who are trying to find, again, because education is not one size fits all. It's not my job as a board member to tell somebody where they should enroll their child. It's my job to make sure that we stay the most competitive and support those children and families.
So I have a daughter, a 29-year-old daughter, who went through public education in Arkansas, and I was very, very invested in public education. I am an advocate for public education. My children, I am homeschooling them after they completed 1 year in kindergarten. We had to remove them for some of their disabilities that needed additional services. And so, but I still continue to advocate for this district and continue to speak at board meeting, and so I am a proponent for this district. Thank you.
Okay. For Ms. Mayberry and Ms. Pawsey, maintaining a budget is a large part of the role of school board members. What makes you a stronger candidate with regard to financial expertise?
Thank you. Well, as somebody who has owned small businesses and has been made to have to stretch a dollar, I can understand you. I can let you know that I understand what this school district is going through. They're not going through anything that you and I haven't gone through in the past. What do you do when you have an enormous budget and you don't have the funds coming in? You've got to start making some smart choices. I'll also tell you, for the last 8 years, speaking at school board meetings, the one thing I'll tell you that concerns me the most is that our very own audit committee hasn't been meeting. So these things, the history that I know of this district, and calling that out and trying to bring that back is exactly why I'm the person you should choose.
So I was a certified financial planning professional. That means I had to take a lot of classes, I had to do a lot of lessons, I had to do a lot of testing, and I know how to do budgeting, I know how to do taxes, I know how to do all of those things. I'm a responsible person here in Northport. I own my own home down here. All I can say is that if you look at financial background, I have the financial background to be able to look into what we're doing with our money, and I have the expertise as a teacher to know what we need to be doing with our money.
For Ms. Brandt, can you tell us how your work expertise has shaped your candidacy?
My work ethic and being the PTO president is a little bit about, but I can talk about budget to that. And the word trust comes to my mind. When we're raising funds for our school, for our PTO, when you're looking at funds for the entire school district, people trust you with their dollars. People put me in this position because they trust me to spend their dollars wisely. And that's what we need to do as a school board, and that's what I will do as a school board member. I will use your dollars wisely because I know what the teachers need, I know what the families want, and I know what kind of education our children need because my daughter is in the public school.
Being trained. It's cursive, guys.
It's half cursive, half I don't know.
Lots of people do that are over 50.
Okay, sorry. School boards all over Florida and right here in Sarasota are facing a financial crisis. Close to 180 teachers plus school staff in Sarasota schools received a notice this week that they will not be rehired next year. At the same time, Sarasota schools are being drained of $46 million due to school vouchers. Do you believe that vouchers are a major cause of this financial crisis? How should the Sarasota School Board plus members respond to this crisis? The personal questions have ended, sorry.
Great question. I will double down on the voucher question because again, if we're asking why we're struggling as a budget and why people are going to other resources when it comes to choosing a different school, we have to ask the question why. And I've been doing a listening tour from North County all the way to South County, asking that very question from people who either walked away from the district, people that have stayed in the district, asking teachers, asking parents, and I'm telling you, this is a much bigger issue than just a voucher. What I'm being told is if we create the most competitive environment with the best schools, we will be the schools of choice.
So school funding is really complicated, and it would take me more than 30 seconds, probably 30 years to explain it. But basically, the school voucher money is coming out of the taxpayer money that normally goes to fund our public schools. What we've been asking is for the legislature to set that school voucher money into a separate categorical so that whatever happens with that doesn't impact the school funding for our public schools. You still have time. You can call your Congress people here, legislators in Florida, to get them to fix that.
School boards are required to follow the state legislature, so you may think that doesn't have a lot of power, and I can tell you, when a school board majority agrees on protecting public education, they create pushback to the state. They ask the questions. They say, we want parameters on these vouchers. We want an income cap. We want very clear disclosures on how they're being used. And if my students in the district have to have a student number to attend, then the voucher program students should have numbers as well for tracking.
The problem with $46 million being used for vouchers is that we're not tracking it after it's given to the families. That is the number one problem that has to be addressed on the voucher program. Secondly, as everybody said, this is a state program. The school board can't just say no. But you know what? As we get together and we get a board that can work together, there's very good things that we can come about doing. So again, we need to figure out why is so much money going out to these families, why are they leaving the schools, and what can we do to get them to stay back with us? Thank you.
I'd have to agree with you on that, Frank. Tracking the vouchers is key. We really need to have a better tracking system. That money needs to follow the student. Also, we're in education here. We need to educate people about how great our public schools are. Like it's been said a couple of times by different candidates, a marketing campaign. I have a couple of friends leaving the private school after I've been raving about how great I feel like my daughter's education is at Southside. Leaving. It's voice, it's word of mouth, it's a marketing campaign. We need to do better at that.
Can you read the question again?
School boards all over Florida and right here in Sarasota are facing a financial crisis. Close to 180 teachers plus school staff in Sarasota schools received a notice this week that they will not be rehired next year. At the same time, Sarasota schools are being drained of $46 million due to school vouchers. Do you believe that vouchers are the major cause of this financial crisis? How should the Sarasota School Board plus members respond to this crisis?
Okay, so one of the things that I'm going to go into is that 4 years ago, we received $100 million in COVID dollars and American Rescue Plan dollars. Those dollars, we went through those up until 2024. So then we also went through referendum dollars that you all
and the voucher use are going to people already in private schools. So that money's just, they were never going to be in public school anyway, so they're just taking that money out. That's the beginning of the problem, and also an antiquated computer system that doesn't allow for accurate tracking. So when that student takes that money and then comes back to the public school, it takes 3 or 4 months for that money to come back to the public school system. That's the biggest problem we're facing with the vouchers.
All right, we're going to change things up because we have 10, 12 minutes left. And we have a bunch of questions. So what we're going to do is ask a question, and the candidate will answer it, and then we'll ask another question, and we're just going to go down the road. All right. You got a question? All right, this one. Can you choose? Will you raise your hand fast?
Okay. What is your position on schools of hope?
I am so proud of our school board and Superintendent Connor for acting so quickly with Schools of Hope. I'm also super proud of Wilkinson Elementary School and Polytech and their families for coming out. That's what our community voices need to look like. Advocating for our schools, and look what it got us. It got us reimagining Brookside Elementary School. It has K-8 schools for Wilkinson. It had us putting what's Biztown and Emma Booker. We are reimagining our schools because of the Schools of Hope. So I have to thank them because we acted swiftly and we're doing a great job.
All right, next question.
What would you do to close the gap between lower performing schools and higher performing schools?
So one of the things that I'm concerned about is the curriculum that we've chosen. The benchmark curriculum, we have had that in place for 5 years. And we went from fifth place in third grade proficiency to 10th. We dropped to 10th. And so one of the things that has been removed, that was removed in 2018, was phonics. And that is a really big problem. And I am seeing the reading curriculum is not doing the job that it needs to do at this point. So I'd like to revisit that.
Next question.
Why am I getting paid less money now with insurance cut, plus still working the same hours 4 work days a week?
Not you, but the teacher.
Well, I definitely have to research why you are getting paid or your insurance is less. Is that what the question was?
It's in person.
I think it's more of a complaint.
Still working the same hours Why am I getting paid less money now with insurance cut and still working the same hours, 4-day work?
Teacher.
So it's a teacher.
As a teacher, well, a lot of that has to do with inflation going on right now. A lot of different things going on in this world that are taking all of our dollars, and that's a shame that that's going on. I'm sorry that that is happening. It's happening all over, and we have to make changes not only here at the school board, but just as a country as a whole.
Should the Bible play any role in the curriculum of Sarasota County schools?
Which head should I stand?
I'm a firm believer in separation of church and state. It is absolutely okay to learn about religions as part of a historical or social lesson, but there are so many faiths, and to include just 1 or 2 or 3 is not inclusive, and it divides us as a community and a school.
How do you promote American exceptionalism, love for America, plus respect for the U.S. flag? Those are horrible questions.
Yeah, this is kind of a big thing that our current school board did when they voted to be able to celebrate the 250th birthday of our country. Now we all know, because we've gone through history lessons, that includes the good, the bad, the ugly, the coulda, shoulda, wouldas, but it is a celebration of where we've come for 250 years. We should be celebrating this in our community. I think our city is doing a great job of that, but that's why our school board voted to make the 250th celebration of the United States of America part of the school district that we're celebrating.
What is your position on students leaving classes to attend political protests?
I think if we're not listening to our students, we're not giving them time or place to have a voice. You should expect that your students are going to do something in order to tell you how they feel about that. I understand the concerns. I know that the school board has said it's a safety issue, but guess what? There's some other safety issues that we have that they're not addressing either. We need our kids to be able to tell us what they need, and if we're not going to listen to them, we shouldn't expect them to sit there and and just take it. They're not going to, especially our teenagers.
If we have time, I might be able to get everybody in that one. I think everybody's got a strong opinion on it. Go ahead.
Are there any limits on student free speech in school?
You know, this country has free speech. That's what makes it so awesome. But again, bullying, being disrespectful, that's not acceptable. So I do think the students should have free speech. I do believe that they should come to the school board meetings. And I'm going to say it again, if we move it to 6 o'clock, it's not going to be an issue. You guys can all come whenever you want and say whatever you wish, as long as you do it in a respectful manner. I see nothing wrong with that. Thank you.
Oh, this is group participation.
With a raise of hands, how many candidates support moving the school board meetings to 6 p.m.? Oh. Great. Reborn?
Yeah.
This is what we have.
We're gonna stick around for like 10 more minutes and then we'll let you guys go.
Okay.
Because you guys gave us so many questions.
Okay, it is quick. What is your position on school of choice? Should parents have the right to choose a school for their children?
Yes, I believe that parents should have the right to choose a school of choice for their children. We have a number of different schools here in Sarasota County for those parents to choose from. So, of course, yeah. If you want to send your child to Sarasota Military Academy, if you want to send them to Booker High School, you do have that choice here in Sarasota County. We have a number of different choices for the parents to send their students.
How would you heal?
How would you heal divisions in the board and community based on opposition and ideologies? Good job. That was a tough one.
Well, the first thing that I would like to see the board do is I would like for us to go back to 2 meetings a month at 6 p.m. We have a lot to do, all of us, no matter who's on that board, we've got a lot to take care of. And I believe that anything that's any ideology or any other type of subject that is divisive, we need to make sure that we talk about those things with proper guardrails. And I don't think in the boardroom, and I don't think in the classroom that is appropriate. I think we need to focus on education. We need to be careful about that.
Do you support LGBTQ, DEI, and CRT theories, and should these policies be promoted in the school?
Seriously. I support the Sarasota County curriculum, and I support our teachers sticking to it. I support all students. I support all teachers, no matter your race, your religion, your creed, or anything else. So, but I would appreciate all of our teachers sticking to the curriculum, and we are here to learn and grow and set ourselves up and our children up for their futures.
What is your position on outside interest groups, in quotations, organizing students for political protests?
Yeah, our children are our most prized possessions here in Sarasota County and in our school district. We need to make sure that when we say protection for our students, that doesn't just mean campus safety. That means not allowing third-party organizations to try to entice them to come out and walk out of school. You know, this becomes a safety issue. We've already had one district, questionably 2, that might be sued because students walked out in protest and there was an accident. That affects you as taxpayers, because if people are suing the school district because students just walked out in protest, that's affecting your bottom dollar. There's better ways to handle it.
financial ties to developers or charter school operators?
Was that for you?
That's what that said.
I do not. If anybody remembers 2016, I ran for Sarasota County Commissioner against developers, so no, absolutely not. Thank you.
You're next.
Three amazing choices.
All right, we're down to the last two.
So these two or this one?
We can do that one.
Okay. How would you promote civility and respect at board meetings, especially in public comments?
So the board meeting decorum is set by the chair. Way back when we had a different board chair, there was a lot of community involvement. There was conversations, and if somebody had a question, that chair would get that person's information, their email address, their phone number, and that chair would get back to them with an answer. Right now, it seems like you're yelling into the void.
Okay, so for our final round, we're gonna ask, well, go ahead and ask this question, and then everybody gets this, and then we'll let you guys go.
Okay, all right. What is your position on Charlie Kirk's America Club in our school, as in Northport High School?
I'll take that one.
Oh.
Because it's not going to be a shocker. I'm the director of the Sarasota County Turning Point Headquarters chapter, just like every other after-school club. Yes, let's have them. And you know what? Let's make sure all the students go to it. What is wrong with debating civics as an after-school program? You know, we said DEI not that long ago. I thought the I meant for inclusion. Does that not include all inclusion? So yes, I am a fan of Charlie Kirk's, but mostly because of the debate. The civil debate. Let's get back to doing that.
All right, so this last question, and then thank you all very, very much for coming.
All right, so I'm standing. Okay. How would you promote parental rights? Should parents play a role in curriculum choices?
We have a curriculum that's handed down from our state and that we are supposed to follow. I think parents definitely need to play a big role in their students' life, period. I think the more your parents are involved in your education, the better you do, the more you will thrive. However, I don't think parents need to be telling our teachers how to teach. Teachers teach, parents support. We need to give our parents the knowledge and the tools and communication, but not the ability to teach.
So when you're deciding curriculum, reading curriculum, when that comes down from the state, as long as it meets the best practices, that's fine. But when you get to the district level, then you have what they call a curriculum committee. And so parents are asked to join community members are also asked to join those committees. So you want to make sure that you're checking out our website because it's a really big decision. It's millions of dollars of your tax dollars on a decision, and you need to be a part of that decision, and you need a seat at the table.
I believe the parents should be aware of the curriculum, and if there are committees such as this, for them to get involved, that's great. But I don't believe there's some parents who might have the expertise to actually go through a curriculum. I'm not sure a lot of parents in here have that expertise for what it takes to, what a curriculum involves. So yes, be aware of it, but I think there are professionals who are trained, went to college, went to grad school, who do this for a living. So we need to trust the professionals as well.
Parents' rights are very important, and parents definitely should be aware of what curriculum is being taught, but it does come down to the state. And the fact that there's a committee that they can join, by all means, they should join, but they shouldn't interfere with teaching either. That's why we have the teachers. So we want to involve the parents, yes. We want to take some feedback from them, but as everybody else has said, there are professionals that are doing that, and that's what we need to stick with. Thank you.
As a parent, I I actually love when I get permission slips sent home because I know that that teacher has done a really deep dive into the curriculum. It might be a sensitive topic, and that teacher is including my voice in the decision of whether or not my child should be exposed. That being said, the curriculum is set, and it goes through a very long vetting process. It is my right to have my child learn what I want my child to learn via a book, but also not another parent's right to determine what the entire class should be reading. If that child is not able to, if that child doesn't want to read that book, then you know what, we can find another one.
Sorry, 3 seconds is not enough.
So as a teacher that had to teach reproduction at one point and evolution, I've had experiences with families that didn't want their child to learn that particular thing. As long as you can come up with another alternative activity for them to do, I don't think there's anything wrong with it as long as there's a valid reason for that particular student not to be doing that particular thing. That doesn't mean all of my students shouldn't be doing that particular thing. Your parental right is your right, not everybody's.
And I think that's why we have a voucher program and why we have school choice, because it is that. It's that basic. It's the parent's right to choose how they want to pursue education for their child. And as long as we are all playing by those same rules when it comes to charter schools and private schools, when it comes to our public school and to our district, it's the parent's right to know what's being taught in that classroom. Transparency has to be paramount, and honestly, I've not really known any teachers who didn't welcome that. The parent-teacher partnership is crucial.
All right, hold on to the mic. We're going to end with this question. Here's the thing. Every one of the candidates can get a list of these questions. Holly's Hope will work with them to get their answers if they'd like to, since these came in from the universe. This wasn't the audience that did. So, to make sure that we do get to at least one of them, here it is.
It's the most important question of them all. Do you have any ideas for improving school lunch?
Oh my God.
Okay, the number one thing I hear when I talk to students is that the school lunches are not adequate in portion size. Have you ever tried to feed a 13 or 14 or 15-year-old? So I think that that's one of the things that I would look at is why are the portion sizes so low? I've heard this over and over from high schoolers. When we look at what's being served for lunch, what I anticipate we'll see coming down from the federal government now with some of the guidelines that Secretary Kennedy has put in, I think we might see some changes in what's going to be brought down our way through state and through local government. Let's make it healthy again, but for goodness sakes, they're growing boys and girls. Let's increase the portion.
So a lot of the food that comes to our school lunch programs are USDA given to them. So the problem, part of it is quality of the food. The other part of it is how long it takes to prepare the food, because a lot of things the kids are eating are Crustables and things like that. So we need to have a lot more fresh food. We need to have a lot more foods that are a lot more food choices. But it's a money thing. If we had more money, we would have better choices in our schools.
I have teenagers as well, and yes, the portions are, they're lacking. But what I would like to see is some of the programs that we had before COVID, such as our farm-to-table programs, where we had gardens in our schools that were actually an agricultural class. The students would harvest, they would serve, and so it's twofold. We're getting better options, and students are learning.
Well, we keep talking about the budget, and again, it's over $1 billion. So we need to divert that money to make sure that the food portions are there. I know my kids complain about it because not only do I pay for their school lunches, I think my mic's going down, running out of battery. So I pay for the school lunches, but I also see all the other charges on the stuff they buy from the snack machines. So yes, we definitely need to increase the portions. Thank you.
Now, hold on. How will you improve school lunch?
I graduated, my BS was a degree in nutrition and exercise physiology. I worked as a cardiac rehabilitation, been a stay-at-home mom for many years, so I've applied that, but I would love to use that and work with our food and nutritional services. Also, we have a garden at Southside that is great. It teaches our kids to grow and nurture. And we had a farm to fork just last Thursday that the high school actually took our potatoes and our lettuce and made a delicious dinner. So it was really educational for our children to learn about healthy food and how it's grown and then how it's prepared.
So my twins went to Southside as well, and one of the most exciting things for them was the garden. It was wonderful. And so what we did is we started growing a garden at home. And so then we were able to cook from those. But one of the things that I wanted to look at, I need to talk to the principal or the superintendent about, is that the younger grades, they eat at like 10 in the morning. And they are so cranky by 1 or 2. And then we have tons of behavioral issues. So I don't mean to get really serious, but that is something I'd like to talk to them about. But pizza every day. That's my really.
I say we have better choices, healthier choices, bigger portions, and that's what we talk about, more communication. The kids probably, you guys are big on surveys, and maybe it's like, hey, what do you guys want to see in your cafeteria? Maybe we haven't asked you what you would like to see on your school menu. That's a novel idea. Why don't we ask the people who are eating the food? Maybe we can try that out. Maybe we'll have better choices and a better idea.
And it's really simple. What was your answer?
Fruit, oranges.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about these candidates? We got very, very solid candidates. Thank you very, very much for your time. And like I said, more answers to come. This is Holly's Hope. We meet once a month here, and first Tuesday of every month. It's just, you know, another thing we do. Thank you.
That was pretty talented.
Thank you. That was great, man.